With UFC 281 this weekend, I decided to give you my predictions for each fight on the card and who I think will win their fights. Carlos Ulberg vs Nikolai Negumereanu. The first fight on the UFC 281 card and kicking off the early prelims is 7-1 Carlos Ulberg taking on 13-1 Nikolai Negumereanu. Ulberg has a 4-inch height advantage, but Negumereanu does have a 1-inch reach advantage. In terms of the stand-up game, Ulberg lands more significant strikes per minute, he is the more accurate striker, he absorbs less significant strikes per minute and he has the better defensive percentage as well. In terms of grappling, both men average around the same amount of takedowns per 15 minutes, however, Ulberg has 100% takedown accuracy and defense, while Negumereanu only has 28% takedown accuracy and 62% takedown defense. Given all of this, I would say Carlos Ulberg should win this fight quite comfortably. Julio Arce vs Montel Jackson. The second fight on the card is a fight between 18-5 Julio Arce taking on 11-2 Montel Jackson. Jackson is going to have the height and reach advantage in this fight as Arce is giving up 3 inches in height and 5 inches in reach. When it comes to the striking game for this fight, Arce lands more significant strikes per minute but Jackson is the more accurate striker. Jackson also absorbs less significant strikes per minute but Arce actually has the better defensive percentage. When it comes to grappling, Jackson averages more takedowns per 15 minutes, getting 4 takedowns per 15 minutes to Arce's 0.42 takedowns per 15 minutes. Jackson has much better takedown accuracy than Arce, 78% to 27%, but Arce has the better takedown defense with 94% compared to Jackson's 68%. Personally, I think if Jackson can land his takedowns and beat Arce's takedown defense, I think Montel Jackson will leave UFC 281 with a win. Michael Trizano vs Seung-Woo Choi. The third fight on this stacked card sees 10-3 Michael Trizano face off against 10-5 Seung-Woo Choi. Choi is coming into this fight with a 1-inch advantage in height and a 3-inch advantage in reach. In terms of the striking game, Trizano lands the more significant strikes per minute and he is the more accurate striker. Choi absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute but Trizano has the better defensive percentage. In terms of the ground game, neither man really attempts takedown with both men's takedowns per 15 minutes being under 1. Trizano however has attempted 0.6 submissions per 15 minutes while Choi hasn't attempted any submissions in the UFC. After reviewing the stats I think I am going to lean towards Michael Trizano to win this fight but it could be a close fight. Karolina Kowalkiewicz vs Silvana Gomez Juarez. The next fight of the night is between 13-7 and former UFC strawweight title challenger Karolina Kowalkiewicz and 11-4 Silvana Gomez Juarez. Going into this fight, both women are 5 feet 3 inches but Juarez does have a 1-inch reach advantage. When looking at the striking game, Kowalkiewicz lands more significant strikes per minute but Juarez is the more accurate striker. Juarez also absorbs less significant strikes per minute but Kowalkiewicz has the better defensive percentage. Neither woman goes for takedowns in their fights so chances are we will see a striking fight in which I think I'm going to give the edge to Kowalkiewicz as she lands the more significant strikes per minute and if she can work on avoiding significant strikes she should have a good chance in this fight. Matt Frevola vs Otman Azader. The fight that is headlining the early prelims is a fight between 9-3-1 Matt Frevola and 13-0 Otman Azader. Both men have the same reach but Frevola has a 1-inch height advantage for the fight. When it comes to the striking aspects, Azader lands more significant strikes per minute, he is the more accurate striker, he also absorbs less significant strikes and has a better defensive percentage. However, Frevola has the better grappling stats averaging more takedowns per 15 minutes but Azader has 100% takedown defense. Personally, I think Otman Azader will win this fight comfortably especially if he stops Matt Frevola's takedown attempts. Andre Petroski vs Wellington Turman. The first fight on the prelims is between 8-2 Andre Petroski taking on 18-5 Wellington Turman. Both men are coming into this fight at 6 feet 0 inches in height but Petroski will have a 1-inch reach advantage for the fight. In terms of the striking game, Petroski lands the more significant strikes per minute and he is the more accurate striker of the two. Petroski also absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute and he has a better defensive percentage as well. When looking at the grappling stats, Petroski has the advantage there as well. He gets more takedowns over 15 minutes, he has 100% takedown defense, and he attempts more submissions over 15 minutes as well. In my opinion, I see this being an easy fight for Andre Petroski, which he should be able to win comfortably. Erin Blanchfield vs Molly McCann. The next fight of the night is between 9-1 Erin Blanchfield and 13-4 Molly McCann. Both women are the same height-wise, but Blanchfield has a 4-inch reach advantage for this fight. In terms of the striking stats, McCann lands slightly more significant strikes per minute, but Blanchfield is the more accurate striker, and Blanchfield also absorbs less significant strikes per minute, but McCann has a slightly better defensive percentage. In terms of grappling stats, Blanchfield has the advantage as she averages more takedowns over 15 minutes, she has better takedown accuracy, and she has better takedown defense. Personally, I think Erin Blanchfield will win the fight if she utilizes her grappling and wrestling, as I feel like it will be too much for Molly McCann to overcome. Dominic Reyes vs Ryan Spann. The next fight of the night is a fight between 12-3 and former light heavyweight title challenger Dominic Reyes and 20-7 Ryan Spann. Spann is coming in with a 1-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage over Reyes. When you look at the striking stats, Reyes lands the more significant strikes per minute, and he is also the more accurate striker as well. However, Spann absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute, but Reyes just about has a better defensive percentage. In terms of grappling stats, Spann averages 1.5 takedowns per 15 minutes while Reyes only averages 0.36 takedowns per 15 minutes, but Reyes does have a much better takedown defense. I think Dominic Reyes will bounce back from his 3-fight losing streak with a win against Ryan Spann because of his better striking game. Brad Riddell vs Renato Moicano. Then the feature fight on the prelims is a fight between 10-3 Brad Riddell and 16-5-1 Renato Moicano. Coming into the fight, Moicano is coming in with a 4-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach advantage. When looking at the striking stats, Moicano lands slightly more significant strikes per minute, but Riddell is the more accurate striker. Riddell also absorbs less significant strikes per minute, but Moicano has the better defensive percentage. In terms of grappling stats, Riddell lands slightly more takedowns per 15 minutes, but Moicano has the better takedown accuracy and takedown defense. Personally, I think this will be a close fight, but I am going to give the edge to Brad Riddell. Dan Hooker vs Claudio Puelles. The first fight on the main card is a fight between 21-12 Dan Hooker and 13-2 Claudio Puelles. Coming into this fight, Hooker will have a 2-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage. When it comes to the striking stats, Hooker lands more significant strikes per minute, but Puelles does have the better striking accuracy. Puelles also absorbs less significant strikes per minute, but Hooker has the better defensive percentage. Then in terms of the grappling stats, Puelles averages more takedowns per 15 minutes and he also has slightly better takedown accuracy, but Hooker does have the better takedown defense. Personally, I think Claudio Puelles will beat Dan Hooker down to him having the better ground game. Frankie Edgar vs Chris Gutierrez. The next fight of the night is between 23-10-1 Frankie Edgar and 18-3-2 Chris Gutierrez. Heading into this fight, Gutierrez has got a 3-inch height advantage, but Edgar will have a 1-inch reach advantage. When looking at the striking stats, Gutierrez lands more significant strikes per minute as well as being the more accurate striker. Gutierrez also absorbs less significant strikes per minute, but Edgar has the better defensive percentage. In terms of the grappling stats, Edgar lands more takedowns per 15 minutes, but Gutierrez does have the better takedown accuracy and the better takedown defense. I am going to give the edge to Chris Gutierrez due to his stand-up game. Dustin Poirier vs Michael Chandler. Next is a fight that most fans are excited for, is a lightweight bout between 28-7 Dustin Poirier and 23-7 Michael Chandler. Coming into the fight, Poirier is going to have a 1-inch advantage in both height and reach over Chandler. In terms of the striking stats, Poirier lands the more significant strikes per minute and he is also the more accurate striker as well. Poirier also absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute and he has the better defensive percentage. When looking at the grappling stats, Chandler does land more takedowns per 15 minutes and he also has the better takedown defense. However, both men have a 36% takedown accuracy. In my opinion, I think Dustin Poirier will edge this fight and get the win against Michael Chandler. Carla Esparza vs Zhang Weili. The co-main event for UFC 281 is a fight for the Women's Strawweight Championship between 20-6 and current champion Carla Esparza and 22-3 Zhang Weili. Coming into this fight, Weili will have a 3-inch height advantage over Esparza, but both women will have the same reach of 63 inches. In terms of the striking stats, Weili lands the more significant strikes per minute and she is also the more accurate of the two fighters. While Esparza absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute and she also has the better defensive percentage. When looking at the grappling stats, Esparza lands more takedowns per 15 minutes and she also has the better takedown accuracy, but Weili has the better takedown defense. For me, I'm going to pick Carla Esparza to edge this fight, but it will be a very tight contest. Israel Adesanya vs Alex Pereira. To finish UFC 281, our main event is a middleweight championship bout between 23-1 and current champion Israel Adesanya and 6-1 Alex Pereira. Both men are coming into the fight with the same height, but Adesanya will have a 1-inch reach advantage. When looking at the striking stats, Pereira lands the more significant strikes per minute and he is also the more accurate striker. However, Adesanya absorbs fewer significant strikes per minute and he also has the better defensive percentage. Both men have a takedown average per 15 minutes of 0, so I don't see this fight ending up on the ground and that it will be a stand-up brawl. Personally, I think Alex Pereira will win this fight just from being able to land the more dangerous strikes. Thanks for watching my UFC 281 predictions and I hope you enjoyed.